retreat series, Dhamma talk number 68. The way we normally always live, that condition is totally full of sense desire and mental defilements. If we keep them loose, or if we keep them as it is, the normal state, we would never be able to find out the faults of these mental defilements and sense desire. At least we need to contain these with 5 precepts, especially sense desire that doesn't belong to us. But if the sense desire take over, small dissatisfaction can become a raging bull, and also a minor craving can become a wicked greed, and a small misunderstanding can become a opposing view. These all happen because we are not mindful. Selfish people, they are obsessed with sense desire. We know we get drunk with alcohol and can get high with drugs. But we can also get drunk and high with success, fame, fortune, and ego. And all the crazy and mad people live in this drunken world. There are 8 kinds of craziness or madness. Okay? The mad world, the crazy world. The Buddha laid out 8 kinds of madness. Madness due to sense pleasure, due to ill will, due to wrong view, due to ignorance, and also due to unseen beings, and due to liver, gallbladder, virus, bacteria, and due to drugs and alcohol, and finally due to the loss of fame, fortune, and people. Those are the 8. Let's see how they present to us in each and every one of them. So the first one is madness with sense pleasure, or madness due to sense pleasure. For those people who studies Pali word is called kamo mataka. Kamo mataka. Without mindfulness, the mind will go everywhere, anywhere, without any limit and border. And undisciplined minds will mostly engage with akusala or unwholesomeness instead of wholesome situation. Just like a child, if you let the child do whatever he or she wants, they will most likely pick up only bad habits, not good habits. Once a person believes something, this is good, from his or her perspective, that person will crave for it. Even that is, in reality, is wrong. But in their perception, it is good. So, one who is obsessed with sense pleasure does not know right from wrong. And all these conditions are called madness with sense pleasure. Kamo mataka. Okay. Second type of craziness or madness. It's a madness with ill will and anger. Pali word, Kodong mataka. Kodong mataka. Selfish people avoid looking after other people's interests and welfare. They don't like to see other people being successful and prosperous. They don't like to see their other success and prosperity. And they are not able to see the good points and the strengths of others. Instead, they focus on the faults. What that agenda is to blame. They focus on the faults to blame, so they feel good, they feel superior. They will strike back at anyone who steps on their toes. Patience, forgiveness is totally alien to them. Bullying, cruelty, ruthlessness are a part of their life. All these things, anger is the driving force behind it. Dissatisfaction, aversion, hatred, ill will, revenge are constant companion. So it is important to appreciate the beauty and strength of others, and also forgive their weakness and faults. Spotlighting on the lovable nature of others will produce loving kindness in you, because that's spotlighting or looking at the lovable natures of others is the proximate cause to arouse loving kindness. Selfish, angry people don't know how to connect with the beauty of life. Ignoring distress of others is simply a lack of compassion. Without this, loving kindness and compassion will be just like animals, not much different. And all these conditions are called madness with anger. Kodong mataka. Number three is madness with wrong view, or madness due to wrong view. Pali word Diktong mataka. Daitong Mataka. So whenever we see, we face, we engage with something, we perceive a certain way. Okay. But perception of views on things and people and situation could be right and also could be wrong. So in other words, our perception could be right or could be wrong. Example, lust. Actually, it is lust, L-U-S-T. Lust can disguise as loving kindness. You think you are relating with loving kindness, but actually it is lust. You don't know. And also, sorrow can disguise as compassion. They are very tricky. Okay. As an example, let's say you do a mercy killing. In your mind, you think that you are killing so that that person or that animal won't suffer. It's suffering long enough. I'm going to end its suffering. But have you thought about you watching that animal or person suffering every day is really getting onto you? It gives you great grief, it gives you sorrow, it gives you lamentation, it gives you pain. Think about it. You are killing it so that you won't be suffering, or you are killing it so that it would cut off the suffering. Very tricky. That is how sorrow and grief can disguise under the veil of compassion. We always think we know what is right and what is wrong. Okay, we are smart, we are sharp. But there are many circumstances, especially very subtle conditions. In these subtle conditions, it is very difficult to know what is right and what is wrong. That's why you are always asking a close friend, what should I do? Because you don't know, we don't know. Okay? From the meditation point of view, we have many different levels of insight. You look at one thing and you perceived a certain way when you are at the lower level of insight or when you have no insight. And once you practice, your level of insight becomes higher and higher. At that time, you turn around and look at that same thing. Your perception will be totally different. You'll find out what you believe is true at the lower level of insight is not correct. It is wrong. So, with level of insight, your perception can change. The truth can change. So, what you think is right, you begin to understand that is not true. So every day we use, let's call it thinking power, thought power, reflection, using reason, logic, and so on to solve most of our problem. And we always think we seem to manage it. Yeah. Intellectual means, this kind of reflective power, thinking power, is always influenced by the tradition that we are brought up, the condition of the environment that we are in, the culture that we grow together, and also personal belief. They are all infused in your intellectual decision making. But we think we are doing the best and we are right. Okay. So, these kind of thinking power, thought power, decision making, some results are within the line of truth and some are not. But if one uses mindfulness, unbiased observation, okay, the result will always be in line with truth. Reality of, or the true nature of mind and matter, and their cause and relationship. Those things you cannot understand, you cannot know through reflection or through thought power. Let's see, if you are not observing, okay, when you want to sit, you sit. If you are not observing when you want to sit, you won't know intention to sit is the mind. When you want to sit, there's intention. That intention is the mind. If you are not observing, you won't know that. And also, the sitting behavior, manners, and movements of the body. Okay? You won't know that is the rupa, or the body. Separateness. Intention is the mind. Movement and behavior is our physical body. But if we take just like that, take it, this behavior ball of the body in this sitting is I am sitting. That's how we take it. When we sit, I'm sitting, he is sitting, we are sitting, they are sitting. That's how we take as soon as we sit. Sit down. Everybody sat. We are sitting. That is how we perceive. That kind of perception is, or that is how we perceived if we are unmindful. In other words, you took I as a doer, we as a doer. That's how we perceived. So, with this unmindful mind, we lived with the view of I, the view of self, the view of soul. And not only that we are living now in this life, we have been living with that view for the countless number of lives in the past. In other words, that view and us are inseparable. That's why it's very important to be mindful at all movements, behaviors, and actions, and intentions at every posture, standing or sitting or walking or lying down, and all four postures. It's important to be mindful. If you are observing those actions and behavior, you will know intention to sit is the cause, and the sitting movement is the effect. Cause and effect. It is simply doesn't happen Intention is the cause. The physical sitting is the effect. But normally, on a superficial level, for lack of a better word, we can say, I'm tired, that's why I sit. I'm tired. Tired is the cause, sitting is the effects. You can view that way. But who is tired? I am tired. And I sit. That view, even though there's a cause and effect, it revolves around the concept of I or self. So, if we keep the unmindful mind, this unmindful mind will grasp all the process that we are engaging as a person, individual, a self, or a soul. The person is doing, individual is doing, I am doing, we are doing, the soul is doing. That is called the view of Atta. The view of self, soul, or I. And this whole thing, this whole event, this all condition, from the Buddha perspective, it is the madness with wrong view. Daito Mataka. From the Buddha perspective, if you view that way, it means that you are mad with wrong view. Okay, some religions will explain this process as a wish or an act of a supreme being. That's one way of approach to this thing, to this process or condition. This theoretical or philosophical understanding, it's not the true understanding of the real truth. True understanding only comes from direct experience. That what so-called I come in contact with the object at the present moment. It comes only from direct observation, not from theory, not from philosophy, but from personal, direct observation and experience. It comes from direct observation of cause and effect while it is happening, not before, not after. While it is happening, you observe and know the intention. You are right there, so to speak. And then the body sits. Intention is the cause, sitting is the effect. And even though we are using the conventional word, you are observing, slowly you will come to know what that you is, simply a dual process, intention, the mind, and the sitting, the body, mind and body, or mind and matter. And if you don't have that knowledge, you will believe in one kind of concept, effect without cause. You can believe, or you will come to believe as effect without cause, or effect caused by Supreme Being. effects caused by Supreme Being. That way of viewing, that way of looking from the Buddhist point of view, or specifically the Buddha, said, we are mad with wrong view, Daito Mataka. So that's number 3, madness with wrong view. Number 4 is madness with delusion and ignorance. In Pali, mohong mataka. Mohong mataka. So all these madness we are laying out all here, 8 kind of madness. All these madness, the root cause of all these madness is knowing wrongly the true nature of mind and matter, or the root cause is, in other words, called delusion, which is Pali word moha, or ignorance, Pali word avijja, delusion, ignorance, or simply knowing wrongly the true nature of mind and matter. That's a root cause. Not knowing the truth is like you are in a dark room where you can't see anything. You know something, there is something somehow, somewhere, but as you can't see anything, you don't know. That is how moha or delusion is. You are there, but you don't know. Not knowing the truth. Okay, so basically, put it in a different way or proper way, not knowing the truth is like in darkness where you cannot see anything. And Buddha said, the world is buried under the madness of ignorance. This madness of ignorance buried the whole world, in other words, all living beings. Only a few people can discern or differentiate and know the true nature of mind and matter, and their causal relationship, cause and effect, working through the law of cause and effect between mind and matter, and there are common characteristics. Which is anicca, impermanence, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, non-self. 3 common characteristics. Only a few can discern or know or understand. But to know that truth of mind and matter, we require a correct method and, of course, a competent teacher to guide us or to teach us. And due to this ignorance, avijja, uncertainty, confusion, illusion becomes our constant companion. This condition, the Buddha called it, you are mad with delusion, mohong mataka. That's the 4th madness, the 4th kind of madness. The 5th one is madness due to invisible beings. Okay? It will be a bit difficult for the Westerner to understand or to accept it, or maybe not. Madness due to invisible beings. Pali what is? Yakkong Mataka. Yakkong Mataka. Dhamma, Buddha Dhamma, can only protect the domain where the Dhamma is. It can't go and protect the domain where it is not. In other words, it can protect the person who lives and breathes the Dhamma. And who doesn't, they cannot guard or protect you. That's a fact. Let's see. There's a storm coming. When the storm comes, big and tall trees, they take the brunt of this strong wind. They got attacked by the strong wind. The big ones are the first. That's in physical nature, in the physical world. So too in the living beings. Okay, big and loud people. Big and loud people always become the first to become under attack. When the attack comes, those big and loud people are the first one who will take that attacking force. And these kind of people, big, loud, egoistic, selfish, larger than life, me. These kind of people, they have all sorts of enemies. And when I said all sorts of enemies, it includes egoistic, invisible beings. They are living beings that we cannot see, that we cannot touch. But sometimes some people can sense it and feel it. They are egoistic beings. Also good beings, of course, but we are specifically talking about egoistic, invisible beings. So, in here is simple. A magnet attracts. Okay. All the irons and nails and pen attracts the magnet. Magnet attracts them. Just like that. The negative mental state that you have attracts negative energy or dark forces. If you have a negative mental state, if you have a negative energy, it attracts negative forces, dark forces. And when people attract these kind of dark energy and dark force, or attack of the wicked, invisible, powerful beings, the way it shows, or the signage of this is, the person have a loss of normalcy and began to act out in human behaviors, sometimes shaking, trembling, and sometimes you are in a vegetative mode, like a vegetable, or depressive mode. Don't move. Just stare into the space. Those are the signs, some of the signs indicating that that kind of group of people are mad due to the dark energy of the invisible beings. That is Yakong Mataka. The sixth one. The sixth one is, I'll use the Pali word first. Pitong Mataka. Pitong Mataka. Okay, so it is difficult to translate. So in general, you can say it is the physically infected madness. Or you can say madness due to dysfunction of liver, madness due to dysfunction of gallbladder, madness due to virus, madness due to bacteria. They all manifested in your physical body. And in here too, healthy minds create healthy body. And so is unhealthy mind creates unhealthy body. Unhealthy mind means excessive kilesa, excessive mental defilements, greed, anger, delusion, excessive. And when you have that excessive mental defilements in your mind, your body becomes unhealthy, because mind and body works hand in hand, cause and effect. The mind causes negative mental state, the body creates negative chemicals. Simple, straightforward. So it's not written in the scripture. I venture to explain this way. Let's see, one has a high blood pressure because that person is crazy or addicted to high intake of salt. Same thing with diabetes. Drink a lot of sugar, take a lot of sugary drinks, sugar, sweets. That's like diabetes. In other words, it is your own craving or grasping to the salt and to the sugar. Heart disease. Okay. Your artery plugged up with plaques. Why is that? High intense intakes of fatty foods. And we use the word liver dysfunction. What happens is when your liver is not functioning properly, it cannot process or screen out and sieve out all the toxin. And when the liver cannot sieve out the toxin, these toxins go into the bloodstream. There's the blood become toxic, and the person will have a symptom of being like mad or suffer. That is the liver, and so is gallbladder, same thing, dysfunction. And there are specific names, some diseases, some of you might have, or all of you might know, mad cow disease. When a person is hit with that mad cow disease, he's always in a hallucinated mode, seeing things that is not there, fearing things that is not there, and so on. Okay? We know rabies from the dog, mad dog. When the rabies comes in, the dog becomes mad. If it is bitten, you can even die, not only mad. Okay, modern day we know right now is a bird's flu. That's a virus. COVID virus, Spanish flu virus. About 100 years ago, Spanish flu, plagues, wiped out half of the European continent population. Those are the viral or virus or bacterial, and they are also related with the dysfunction of the organs in your body. Cancer cell attacks. These, in my opinion, falls under this Pittum Mataka. Okay. Number 7. Number 7 is madness due to intoxicant. That's straightforward. Pseudo Mataka. Pseudo Mataka. Intoxicant, alcohol and drugs. Alcohol and drugs use create euphoric feeling. If you take it, that's what you get. Euphoric feeling or a high. And say a few drinks. You take a few drinks. As soon as you take a few drinks, even a very conservative person will become less inhibited. A few drinks make person less inhibited. But if you take many drinks, lots of drinks, okay, common sense becomes out of control. At that time, at that point, okay, one's action can produce hurt and harm to others, hurt and harm to strangers, to friends, and even the loved ones. You will produce hurt and harm. Abuse become a common thing in this drunken state. When you're drunk, that's why a lot of family abuses related with a drunken person. When they got sober or when they are not drunk, at that time they might feel guilty. They might feel remorse, guilt and remorse. Afterwards, of course. But even with that, even though they feel guilty, they can't help themselves. They go back and drink again. They go back and use the drugs again. Because now they are at the point, they are at the mercy of drugs and alcohol. They become the slave of drug and alcohol. They feel guilty, but they can't help it. And also, withdrawal symptoms. Okay? Withdrawal symptoms. Sometimes, some people, they don't have money anymore. They can't get these drugs and alcohol. So they go into withdrawal symptom, suffer a lot of pain. You looks like you are crazy, you look like you are mad. And these people will do anything to get this drugs and alcohol. And that is madness due to drugs and alcohol. Or pseudo-mataka. Number 8. Number 8 is madness due to loss of fame, fortune, and loved ones. Yatakong mataka. Yatakong mataka. People who has a weak, immature, and highly emotional mind. Those kind of people are easily moved when they face the 8 highs and lows, 8 loka Dhamma. We have discussed that before. When they face these 8 loka dhamma, they are easily moved, easily swayed. When they become high, they become extremely euphoric, fly off the handle. And then when they are in the low state, down state, they become extremely reactive and depressive. They swing. You can even call it modern day word coining disease is bipolar. They are pretty smart people, but they have a very high periods and very low periods. That is the attack of yatako mataka, bipolar. Okay, of course, these modern words are me pulling into to explain. When they are high, we become really euphoric. When they are low, they don't know how to move, even physically move at all. So, under extreme stress of loss, okay, extreme stress of loss, you hold on to some idea, some project, and you think it's going to be great. And then it fails. When it fails, you just collapse. And of course, you use all sort of rationales and reasons and blaming process. And under extreme stress of loss, physical and mental health decline, those people. And if that continues for a certain period of time, okay, this extended period of pain and grief and loss, depression, your appetite disappear, you don't sleep properly, appetite and sleep drastically decline. Some even become suicidal. A lot of suicidal thoughts comes in. Some actually did it. And these are all due to immature, weak, and fragile ego. Immature mind, weak mind, and fragile ego. Those people are quite egoistic, but their ego is fragile. That's the reason. So, all these conditions are called madness due to loss of fame, fortune, and loved ones. So altogether there are 8 kinds of madness Buddha laid out. Again, of course, you can see now, Buddha taught us in many ways. Everything is about kilesa, mental defilements, lobha, dosa, and moha. But he taught us in so many different ways so that we could really understand and cope each and every situation. We are very, very attentive and very active in taking care of our physical health. Headaches, pills. Joint aches, pills. Something happened, go to the doctor, go to the surgery. Oh, you're fighting and fighting and fighting. I'm a fighter. All physical diseases. But we are not attentive or as attentive or even aware of a mental illness or madness. We are not as attentive or not attentive or even not aware of our mental illness or madness. That's why the Buddha said people are all suffering with the disease of these 8 madnesses. But the Buddha said it is disease of madnesses, but also the Buddha used another word. These 8 are called self-abuses. We are abusing ourselves. It is not the foreign 8 enemies attacking us. We are abusing ourselves. The reason is, if we are mindful, we have a choice. If we are mindful, these madness cannot attack us. In other words, we allowed it to come in. We let it to come in. We are actually abusing ourselves. That's why this 8 kind of madness is also called 8 kind of abuse, self-abuse. 8 kind of self-abuse. So these madnesses are our own doing. But Buddha did not only point out these 8 madnesses or 8 kind of illness or disease. Out of compassion, he also taught us how to cure them. He gave us the means and way. In other words, give us a medicine to cure these diseases. And that medicine is Satipatthana Vipassana, mindfulness insight meditation. Okay. So why don't we let us all take a vow that we are going to cure ourselves from this 8 kind of madness or mental disease with mindfulness insight meditation and uproot all of them as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much